Hello dear viewers, and welcome back to the ancient dwarven hold of our ancestors. Today I shall be talking about the game Beat 'em Up Collection. Before we get going, dear viewers, if you like what I do down here in the ancient hold, then please consider subscribing to the channel. Every view and subscription means a lot to this old dwarf. Beat 'em Up Collection is a compilation of 7 beat 'em ups from yesteryear that were originally released on different platforms and brought to us by QUByte Interactive. The collection was published by QUByte, Bleem.net and Pico Interactive LLC. Each of the games is run by a central launcher. When you run one of them, you can press select and bring up a cheat menu, along with the ability to save and load games. It is good to be able to save your progress and come back later if you wish. The cheat menu for each game varies in what you can actually change, but all provide things like infinite health and continues and such. Some of the games also allow you to pick levels to play, which is fun. The cheats allow you to play through the game as you like, and I don't really have a problem with that. If you want a challenge, you can ignore it completely, but if you just want to have a laugh with some friends, then the cheat menu is there for you. All of the titles ran absolutely fine on my machine, and I played each one using an Xbox 360 controller. The first 2 games are First Samurai, developed by Vivid Image and released in 1991 for the Amiga, and the Second Samurai, again by Vivid Image and released in 1993 for Amiga and Mega Drive. They were both released on other platforms later on. Both of these titles are action platforming games, but they are quite different. The first one, First Samurai, is more of an action platformer in the older sense, where you're jumping platforms and fighting enemies with your sword. You're seemingly fighting your way through space and time to put an end to some bad guy. You need to collect items as well as get past certain obstacles and enter the different parts of the level. There is a good mix of action, so you're not just fighting all the time or platforming about the place. The graphics are well done here for First Samurai. A good use of colour and detail has gone into this, and I can imagine at the time it must have been quite impressive. It still looks good now. The controls are responsive and feel good to use. You can swing your sword about quite happily, slashing at foes and throwing knives and such. Moving about the place was fairly easy and didn't feel too sluggish. I have to say I had some fun with the game, and I imagine that if I was into this sort of genre of action platformers, I would quite enjoy going through this one. Why are you reviewing these games here if you aren't really into them, old dwarf? Well, mostly I'm here for the scrolling beat-em-up games in the collection, which are coming up shortly. I can still appreciate a good action platformer though. Second Samurai, as well as allowing 2 players to play at once, feels more like a scrolling hack and slash game. The style and colour is perhaps a little more vibrant from the first. This is because the version in this collection isn't the Amiga version, but it is actually the one released for the Mega Drive. The Amiga Second Samurai appears quite like the first one, but the Mega Drive version looks and feels a lot different. I wonder why this was done. Perhaps some disagreement on what Mega Drive players might like. Who knows? So, as I say, this version we have here does feel rather different to the first, seemingly focusing on the hacking and slashing of lots of enemies at once rather than the action platforming. There are lots of baddies coming at you and they seem to respawn a lot. There are things to jump at in the air to get daggers and such, which you can throw at things, along with the old pickups. I didn't find this one too exciting, to be honest. It is quite fun to smack things with your sword, and there are a few things you need to think about, but I don't know how long it might hold your attention. Next we have Sword of Sodan. It was developed by Discovery Software and was released in 1988 for the Amiga. This is a single-plane hack-and-slash game where you literally go left or right and swing your weapon at baddies as they come. They might say that scrolling beat-em-ups can be a bit monotonous, which of course is heresy, but this certainly fits the bill. This might be quite fun for a child to play with infinite health for a while, but I can't see much other good coming from it. I have no nostalgia for these sorts of single-plane hack-and-slash games, and perhaps I might have enjoyed it more if I had. But to me this is the worst game in the collection, and not one I would recommend. Gourmet Warriors is an actual side-scrolling beat-em-up, developed by Wins. It was released for the Super Famicom in Japan only in 1995. I've never played a scrolling beat-em-up that involved making dishes between levels, and perhaps I never will again. This is quite a strange and surreal beat-em-up, but it looks the part of a cool Super Nintendo game from back in the day. You can pick from 3 different warriors here and embark on a mission to save the city, while eating delicious cuisine along the way. The baddies you fight can be quite strange and zany, with weird mechanical heads and tiny men that try to jump up at you and smack you about. I have to hand it to them with the unique designs here. Playing wise, I think the combat, the scrolling beat 'em upping, is at best okay. I don't wish to be too negative about a title, but I don't know, I think the low enemy count on screen along with some of the not too exciting brawling doesn't do the game too well. There are a few cool moves you can do, including a fire move that sets enemies aflame, and you can grab foes, but there isn't a lot you can do from it. As mentioned, enemies drop different food items which, at the end of the level, you can choose from to make some sort of dish. There seems to be quite the emphasis on this for some reason. Certain dishes provide different types of health bonuses, so there is a reason to have a care about what you make. Again, this game might be more fun with 2 players, but I'm not really sure how long it would hold your interest. The 4th game is Commando, which was developed by Arcade Zone and originally released in 1995 for the Super Famicom in Japan only. The usual stuff here, brawling through levels as you try to put an end to the big boss. Commando is quite colourful and has a good looking style to it. The sprites look fairly chunky and bright and look cool when moving about and fighting foes. The bare bones combat without using weapons, just your fists, is fairly simple, with a striking combo and a jumping kick attack. You can also grab opponents, but no fancy throws or anything. What sets this game apart from others is the weapon use. Although you could pick up the odd weapon in Streets of Rage or other games, here baddies drop firearms constantly, which you can take hold of and use against them. This is cool and definitely adds to proceedings. I would have liked the guns to have had more ammo, for as quickly as they drop, they are discarded at nearly the same rate. This is a decent enough scrolling beat 'em up, and again one that would be more fun with more players. It feels alright to fight baddies, though the moveset isn't particularly amazing. The guns add an extra layer of gameplay, which is welcome. Next up is the Tale of Clouds and Winds, Water Margin. This is an interesting one that seems to have started out as an unlicensed game developed by Neverending Soft Team and released for the Mega Drive in Taiwan in 1996. It would go on to be picked up by publisher Pico and then re-released. It looks quite good for a Super Nintendo game, quite colourful with some decent backgrounds. The sprites are a good size and drawn, looking pretty decent. This look seems to be an Asian incarnation of Knights of the Round, crossed with a bit of Golden Axe, with certain characters most seemingly using the exact same animations as Knights of the Round. Apparently with the initial release, they were making use of stolen assets, and it seems even now, things resemble other games out there quite a lot. So the gameplay feels a lot like Knights of the Round, with animations, as I said, very similar to that game. The Tale of Clouds of Winds isn't just a cut and paste though. It features inventory items which you can select in the UI and cast spells with, which look similar to Golden Axe. So it's a bit of a mishmash of the two. I think it works well enough, and with 2 player I think you could have some good fun with this one. The final game in the collection is Legend. It was developed by Arcade Zone and released for the Super Nintendo in 1994. In Legend you take on the role of a hero whose quest it is to put an end to the reign of the evil ruler Beldo. I like the aesthetic of Legend quite a lot. It looks like a classic fantasy setting with both the heroes and the enemies looking quite fitting. It feels somewhat more darker than some of the other games in the collection, which gives it this more menacing feel. The combat is fairly simple, with you being able to swing your sword about the place and use a special move that does a lot of damage at the expense of your life. I'm not sure what it is about the combat, even though it is quite simple, I enjoyed it quite a lot. The darker setting, perhaps along with the good animations and well-drawn sprites, adds something I get on well with. Like the previous game, you can also cast spells in Legend, after picking up potions from downed baddies. This adds a very Golden Axe edge to the game, which is great. I wonder perhaps they could have had a bit more of an inventory system, but overall I enjoyed my time with the game. I would say that of the whole collection, this game, Legend, is the one I appreciated the most. The compilation is a bit of a mixed bag, with some good games in there which are quite fun like Legend and First Samurai, and others not really worth your time. Here in the UK, the collection is £16.75, which is about £2.40 a game, so you really can't go wrong with it. This isn't a flashy collection of top quality stuff, but more of a group of slightly rarer titles or lesser played games that you can play easily without having to worry about emulators and ROMs or anything else. This is the appeal of a lot of these old collections, that they are accessible without a lot of fuss involved. Check it out if you like what you see. And there we go, dear viewers, another video from me here down in the Ancient Hold. Thanks for watching this far, and I hope you're all well. I shall see you next time.